Some days you look at yourself and barely recognize the person staring back. Recovery can do that. It breaks you open and it asks you to rebuild piece by piece. If that's where you are right now, take a slow breath with me. You're not losing yourself. You're rediscovering the parts of you you thought were gone. Today we're talking about the moment in recovery when you feel unfamiliar to yourself. When you're healing, but you're not sure who you're becoming. By the end of this episode, my hope is that you'll see that this isn't the end of you. It's the beginning of finding yourself. This is Faith Between the Lines. I thank you for being here, and I'm Scott. You know, looking into the recovery mirror, there comes a point in healing when you finally stop and look at yourself. Really look. And you realize something has shifted. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way anyone else would notice, but in a way that catches your breath for a moment. It's like standing in front of a mirror you haven't faced for a long time. Not the mirror on the wall, the mirror inside you. The one that reflects back the truth you've been tired, too hurt, or too overwhelmed to see. And in that reflection, you notice something unexpected. A softness in your eyes, a steadiness in your breath, a quiet strength you didn't realize you had been growing underneath all that pain. You think to yourself, is anyone else seeing this in their own reflection? Is anyone else noticing that recovery doesn't always roar? Sometimes it whispers. Because what you're seeing isn't the old you. It isn't the broken you. It's the version of you that's learning to live again. Slowly, cautiously, but honestly. You're not looking for perfection. You're not looking for answers. You're simply looking to see if you're still there. And the mirror tells you the truth. You are. Not fully healed, not fully certain, but present, awake, and becoming. And just maybe, someone out there listening is seeing the same thing in themselves. And as we look at the unexpected places where hiding begins, you look into the recovery mirror, you start to notice things you didn't expect. Not big dramatic changes, but small reflections of life returning in places you never thought to look. Maybe it's the way you linger a little bit longer in the sunlight coming through the window. Maybe it's in the way a familiar song doesn't hurt the way it used to. Maybe it's the way you catch yourself caring about something again. Something simple, something ordinary. Something that reminds you that your heart is still capable of reaching outward. Healing doesn't always begin in the places you planned. It doesn't always show up in therapy sessions or deep conversations or even long nights of reflection. But sometimes it begins in the quiet, unnoticed corners of your day. Like the warm cup of coffee in your hand. The sound of someone's laughter in another room. A steady rhythm of your own footsteps. The moment you realize you're not bracing for impact anymore. These are the places where recovery plants its seeds. Not in the dramatic moments, but in the gentle ones. The ones that whisper, you're still alive. You're still capable of feeling. You're still becoming. And as you notice these small reflections, you might wonder if anyone else is seeing the same thing in their own mirror. If anyone else is discovering that healing doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply shows up in the quiet places where your soul is finally ready to listen. It's meeting the parts of yourself you forgot. When you keep looking into that recovery mirror, something surprisingly begins to happen. You don't just see the pain you've carried. You don't just see the exhaustion or the grief of the days you barely made it through. You start to see the pieces of yourself you thought were gone. A spark of curiosity, a hint of courage, a softness that grief didn't destroy, it only buried for a while. A strength that doesn't look like toughness, but like endurance, like staying, like choosing to keep breathing, even when it hurts. These parts of you were never lost. They were just waiting for the moment when your heart had enough space to notice them again. Waiting for the moment when the fog lifted just enough for you to see your own reflection clearly. Waiting for the moment when you were ready to believe that healing was possible. And as soon as you see these pieces returning, you might wonder if anyone else out there is noticing the same thing. If anyone else is discovering that recovery isn't just about getting back to who you were, it's about uncovering who you have always been beneath the weight of everything that you've carried. You're not rebuilding the old you. You're rediscovering the true you, the one grief tried to silence, but couldn't. And that rediscovery, that quiet recognition, is one of the most sacred parts of healing. Allow the joy without the guilt. There's a moment in recovery when the mirror shows you something you didn't expect to see again. A flicker of joy. It might be small, almost shy. A smile you didn't plan. A moment of peace that catches you off guard. A laugh that escapes before you can stop it. And the first instinct for you, as so many of us, is to pull back, to feel guilty, to wonder if joy means forgetting or moving on too quickly or leaving something behind. But the mirror doesn't lie. It reflects the truth you've been afraid to believe, that joy and grief can live in the same heart without canceling each other out. Joy doesn't erase your love. It doesn't diminish your loss. It doesn't rewrite your story. Joy is simply the soul remembering how to breathe. It's the heart stretching toward life again, not because the pain is gone, but because you've carried it long enough to make room for something else beside it. And when you see that joy in your reflection, that tiny spark returning, you might wonder if anyone else out there is seeing the same thing in their own mirror. If anyone else is learning that joy is not a betrayal. It's permission. Permission to keep living. Permission to keep growing. Permission to let the light in, even if it's only a little bit and slowly. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. You only have to allow it. Gently, cautiously, and honestly. Because joy is not the end of grief. It's the companion that walks beside it, reminding you that your heart is still capable of opening. And that opening, that soft, brave opening, is part of your healing. I would like to share with you a moment of reflection. This is a poem that I wrote called "The Mirror Remembers Me." I stood before the mirror, not sure who'd I'd see. A shadow of a person lost or someone rising quietly. The glass did not accuse me. It didn't judge my pace, and simply held the truth of me with gentle, open grace. It showed the lines that sorrow carved, the nights I couldn't sleep, the memories that held me close, the wounds that cut so deep. But then I saw a flicker, a spark beneath the pain, a softness growing in my chest like sunlight after rain. I saw a strength I didn't claim, a hope I didn't choose, a steady heart that learned to beat through everything I'd lose. The mirror whispered softly, "You're more than just you've been. Recovery is not going back, it's learning life again." And in that quiet moment, I felt my spirit rise. I saw that me becoming reflected in my eyes. So if you stand there trembling, unsure of who you'll be, just know the mirror's patient and is still remembering you, even when you can't quite see. As I begin to close this episode, I want you to look into the mirror of your own healing and see more than the pain you've carried. May you notice the quiet strength returning, the softness rising, the courage you didn't know you had still alive in you. And may you trust the small signs of recovery, even the ones that feel too fragile to name. May you believe that that spark you see in your reflection is real, is growing, and is yours. May you release the guilt that trims the day out of the light. Joy is not forgetting. Joy is remembering that your heart was made for more than sorrow. And may you walk forward with a gentle confidence, knowing that every step you take is guided by the love that you've carried, the lessons that you've learned, and the person you are slowly becoming. You are not lost. You are rediscovering yourself, and that rediscovery is holy. It remembers the version of me that I thought I lost and whispers, "You're still there." And maybe that's what recovery is. Not becoming someone new, but remembering that that person I was always meant to be. This arc in my podcast is a journey through the quiet, sacred work of becoming yourself again. Each episode explores a different part of healing. The breaking, the rebuilding, and the rediscovery, and the return of joy. It is for anyone standing in the in-between and trying to understand who they are now and who they're becoming. These episodes are meant to be walked through slowly, gently, and honestly, one step at a time. And if you're healing, recovering, or trying to find your way back to yourself, this arc is for you. If this episode brought up a question or a place in your heart you'd like to explore further, you're welcome to share it. Your presence is felt here, and it's an honor to walk this path with you. If you are in the middle of recovery, I want you to hear this. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not lost. You are becoming. Every breath you take, every small moment of peace, every spark of joy, it's all a part of the rediscovery. If you're finding yourself again, slowly, gently, and honestly, I want to thank you for spending your time with me on Faith Between the Lines. I hope I met you right where you are. And always remember, you are never walking alone.